from GGS Dog Grooming.
Yep, GGS Pet Salon.
GGS Pet Salon. Where's the name come from?
It's a funny story. I was like starting it and I didn't know what I was going to call it. And one of my mates was like, my last name's Gordon. So he was like, Gordo's Grooming. And I was like, oh, nah.
You expect like this big dude.
But then I was like, oh, because I wanted something little that was easy to put in a logo that was just like you'd see it and know that's what it was. And I was like, oh, Gordon's Grooming Services.
Yeah.
And then just shorten it to GG, so it's like catchy.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cute.
Yeah.
Looks good on the van.
Yeah. And I had a friend of mine that's a graphic designer design those little bums. The little cat bum and the dog bum.
Yeah, nice. Do you groom a lot of cats?
I do. Like, I don't do a lot, but I because I had a cat that was a Persian, and I just learned how to groom her.
Yep.
A lot of groomers won't touch cats, and especially if you're going into a salon where there's a lot of dogs around.
For sure.
It's so stressful to bring a cat into that environment, so that's why they don't really do it. But if you take your cat to the vet to be groomed, they have to be knocked out, put to sleep, and then you've got vet nurses grooming them that only use clippers every now and then, so they kind of always end up looking like they got run over by a lawnmower.
Yep.
Patchy and not very good job. But yeah, because I spent so many hours grooming my own cat and shaving her and like scissoring her to make her look like nice and cute. You always leave like their head and their little feet and the tail. So I spent so many hours doing her that I just learned how to do it. And if you've got like beautiful cats, like most of those long-haired cats, like Persians, ragdolls, they have been bred to be like really nice pets and to be picked up and to be like, you know, smothered.
Yeah.
So I find that most of them are pretty sweet with it. And cats, especially once they get older, they're not very good at cleaning themselves. So like you'll see, if you see an old cat, they'll actually have like a greasy coat. And it's because they can't clean themselves like they used to. Once they get a bit older, they're not as flexible. And so, like, it is important to bath cats if they're like that and can't clean themselves because they'll get dandruff and skin issues. So, yeah, it's just like you can train them like you can dogs, but it's just a bit more stressful for them.
Yeah. So you're better off doing it from when they're little?
It's hard. It's up to the individual cat. So there's been cats that I turn the clippers on and they just freak out. And I just be like, sorry, you're going to have to take it to the vet.
Yeah.
That's the sort of cat that's going to have to go to the vet and be groomed. But then other cats will just take it. They'll just lay there. And like cats, you can scruff them, like, and that puts them in like a calmer state. So if they're freaking out a bit, just to get those mats out and get them comfortable. But yeah, I've got a few that I do. I have a friend's cat that I bath once a month because she's old and gets dandruff and greasy. And so yeah, you can do them, but it's just up to the individual cat. They're not kind of like dogs where you can convince them that this is a good thing. If they don't want to get it done, you can't do it.
I think you have so much experience. Like, I've known you for a few years now. You've been Lady and Vita's groomer. You also
Lolly's groomer.
do Lolly.
Yeah, you guys are some OG clients.
Yeah.
From the start, pretty much, I reckon.
Well, I got Vita when I moved to the Gold Coast, and at summertime, she's just one of those dogs that hates the heat. Like, even now, you'll probably be able to hear her panting, and we haven't really done anything, but it's getting to be quite a hot day.
Yeah.
Mick's throwing the ball at her twice, but now we're just panting away. So she has always avoided the sun. Like, you know those dogs that lie in the sun? Vita was never. She'd go and lie in the shade. You'd always find her sitting next to the fence line because it was the shadiest part of the yard.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to get her shaved at first, everyone told me, don't shave her, but it's made such a difference. Like, she just changes and she acts like a puppy the day that we shave her as soon as it gets hot.
Yeah.
I think I started with one in the summer, and now I do it about 3 times starting.
Yeah.
How long ago did she get shaved this year?
I don't know, when she was booked in.
6 weeks,
Probably,
maybe?
6 to 8 weeks ago, by the looks of it.
So probably just getting her done one more time before Christmas and then once in January.
Yeah. We just have such a hot climate, so it's like, as I was saying before, it's just up to the individual owner of like, you know your dog the best. Some dogs run hot, some dogs run cold, and always use double coated dogs. Like they're gonna go lay on the cold concrete. Like my dog, she's a short haired little princess that sunbakes, and then she'll go inside and cool down for 5 minutes back in the sun. Like she just loves the sun. In winter she's freezing, she's under blankets, like she's just cold all the time. So she loves the sun. And then you've got most of these double coated dogs, all your shepherds and everything like that, they're just always hot. Like in the middle of winter they'll just go and lay out on the cold concrete because they love the cold.
Yeah.
So it's just up to, I think, just finding, like, knowing your dog and knowing if they're struggling.
Yeah.
And especially once they start getting into that, like, midlife to, like, that older sort of dog, they can't regulate their temperature as well. So I just, my recommendation is it could, like, damage the coat if you clip a double coated dog, but it's up to you. Like, you know, do you care that much about what your dog looks like, or do you care that your dog is comfortable?
Yeah. How did you get into it, Lucy? I think it's look, I think working with dogs all day would be a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely like an emotionally stimulating job, like, but it is very repetitive. So, like, yeah, you've got to, like, it's so great now that I've worked for myself and I've curated this beautiful, I guess, book of clients that I see very regularly, which was very different to the salon. You might see the dog once and then someone else will groom it the next time it comes in. So I think, like, building these relationships with the dogs makes it so enjoyable, because I have dogs that hate being groomed, but they, like, love it when I get there and they're super excited. So it's, like, a beautiful job in that sense. I get to do that. But when I left school, I dropped out. I hated school. It was not for me. All I ever wanted to do was work with horses. I was a crazy horse girl.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Horse girl.
So I dropped out and went and got a job at a stables and worked at the racetrack, rode track work for a bit, on a traineeship for $10 an hour, like just picking up horse shit for 6 hours a day out in the hot sun.
Yeah.
And I loved it when I started, but after about 3 years, I think like that third summer, I was like, oh, I cannot do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so hard. So yeah, through horses, I knew a lady that was a dog groomer, so I worked for her for a bit, and then learned a bit there, but then I went and worked for a big salon. So I think anyone that wants to do it as a job, that is the best, like, route to go down, is to go work for a big salon.
Yep.
Where you've got heaps of dogs, heaps of groomers, and it's chaotic and crazy, and I didn't love it when I was doing it in a salon, but that's where you can learn it, because it's not
So many different dogs that you see,
so
right?
many different dogs, and it's not like a recognized trade where it should be, like where you can go, there's like a clear path on how to do it, right? So you can go get an apprenticeship, do your 4 years, and then you're qualified. There's no regulations in dog grooming, which is, yeah, that's like I think the downside of the whole industry, because any human can go buy a dog grooming trailer and say they're a dog groomer.
Yep.
And they might not have the experience to necessarily be doing that.
Well, you can hurt a dog too.
Easily.
Like,
You've
really
got sharp instruments around their
sharp
faces.
instruments.
Like, you can't really tell a dog to sit still.
Yeah.
So you've got to work with them.
And then you have dogs that hate it. Like, Lady loved whenever you rocked up.
Yeah.
Straight to the gate. She'd lie in the tub. I've got videos, we'll post them, of her lying there, like, kind of going to sleep. Like, Lisa's here, I'm getting my massage. Vita's never been a fan, sorry.
I have to run in and try and find her. She hides from me. But
yeah, that one day you couldn't even get her out of the
Yeah.
house.
I had to throw balls around the yard at nothing until she chased one.
So you do have different kind of dogs, and then throwing them into that busy environment, like Vita would hate. I couldn't do that to Vita. That would never be an option to me, I don't think, because one, if she doesn't know a dog, she takes a little bit to get used to them.
Yeah.
And it would stress her out.
Yeah. It didn't really align with my personality to be working in a busy salon like that.
Yeah.
Dogs barking everywhere, caged. I would stand in one spot and just finish dogs all day. So I had someone else clip off the hair before the bath, someone else bath them, someone else blow dry them, and I would just stand there and scissor
Make
and
it
finish
pretty.
them. So you don't get that connection with the dogs. That's why I you can make a lot of money having your own salon, having all these groomers working underneath you and having 50 dogs coming through your salon every day, but that is not in line with me.
Yeah,
It's not
I just
fulfilling, yeah, because
it's just stressful, and then that's when dogs get hurt, right? You're rushing to get them out, especially border collies. They're like way more on edge because they're kind of bred to have that anxiety energy to herd all day.
Yeah.
And so they used to be the worst dogs to groom in a salon because you have to muzzle them because their first instinct when they're stressed is to bite.
Yep.
Whereas in my shop, like, I don't use a muzzle. I've got one dog that I have to do his nails, but that's just because he has been hurt in the past.
Yep.
So yeah, I just didn't like, it was just stressful, like having you just under the pump all day, just pumping out dogs. Like, yeah, so working by myself in a van, one-on-one with the dogs, just suits me so much better.
I know it suits our dog, like Lily. I know she runs away when you come, but then she just goes. Like once we catch her, she goes down with you fine.
Yeah, and she's fine. She doesn't love the whole process, but she puts up with it. And that's the thing. Like I've had so many dogs like that have had a bad experience that are not suited to that salon. You know, they're like that more introverted dog that only likes their owners and their family. And they're just not suited to going into that salon environment for 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever the turnaround is for the specific salon. Whereas in the van, they're in their own home, they go in there for an hour or 2 hours max, and then they're back in their home and it's all over and done with. And it's just not that extra stress of having all these dogs and, you know, busy and yeah.
Do you have any tips for people? Like, what do you think is the most important thing about keeping your dog groomed?
It depends on the dog. So if you've got like a short-haired dog, double-coated dog, you need to be brushing them. Like your short-coated ones, you want to be using like a rubber brush, and you just brush out their short hair, give them a bath whenever you like. There's this thing that people say that you shouldn't bath your dog too often because you'll strip the natural oils from its coat. But my opinion on that is if you use a good quality shampoo and conditioner, that's designed for dogs. They have different pH to humans, so don't use your human shampoo on them. But if you're using a good quality shampoo and conditioner, you're putting the oils back in their coat with the conditioner. So you can bath your dog as often or as little as you want, in my opinion. I can't stand having a smelly dog, so I bath my dog, like, I guess, fortnightly. She gets a bath and a brush, and so same with your double-coated dogs. They require more brushing, so you probably want to be doing them like 2 or 3 times a week. Then once you come into your oodles, you should be brushing that dog every day.
Yeah.
Their hair's like ours. It just continuously grows. It doesn't stop growing. So with the double-coated dogs, you're just brushing out undercoat because that's what's shedding all the time. But all the oodle breeds, like, that needs to be getting brushed. Like, if you want to keep them in that long look. Like, I know you clip Lolly off because she gets hot.
She gets too hot.
And that's fine. If you if you want to just clip off your dog every couple of months, and then you don't have to brush as often. But most people, especially on the Gold Coast, want these big, beautiful, fluffy, teddy bear-looking dogs.
Yeah.
So if you're not brushing your dog at least every second day for about 20 minutes, going over the whole coat, getting all the mats out.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is. And people buy these oodle breeds because their friend has one and they see what a beautiful dog they are and they're great pets.
And they don't shed them through the
They
house.
don't shed all their
and they
hair
don't smell
through
as
the house.
much.
Yep. And they've been bred to be pets, right? So yeah, your poodles are working breeds, your labs are working breeds, but like my favourite oodle is a cavoodle because they're literally bred from a cavalier that was trained to be, like, bred specifically to be a lap dog, to sit on laps.
Yeah.
So they're just great pets for families. Like, they're very tolerant to kids. And yeah, that's why they've become so popular because they don't shed hair. Like, everyone has their dogs as inside dogs now.
Yeah.
And so, but then I think people don't quite do the research on the amount of money they're going to have to spend on, like, maintaining that coat and the amount of work they're going to have to put in.
For sure.
And you see it a lot because people buy them and they have their puppy coat for about 8 months and it's quite fine and doesn't mat usually very easily. So they'll have this big, beautiful coat for like 8 months that requires minimal brushing. And then the adult coat comes through. And if you're not getting your dog regularly groomed and it's not used to it, and then the adult coat comes through and you have to start brushing a lot more, then they just end up a ball of mat, and I'm shearing them like a sheep. And you're taking this, it's like a pelt. It's literally like you can hold it up like a sheep. And it's just the lack of knowledge, and breeders aren't communicating that. And if you've never had a dog before that has that coat, it's hard to know that that's what it requires. And like I've had clients that have their dog like that and they don't even know that it's matted, because just the lack of knowledge there that's like transferred from breeders over.
Well, that's like the biggest thing, right? That leads into my other question. If there was one thing that you wish everyone knew about owning a dog, what would it be? This is something I ask everyone.
I just think that if you want to own a dog, you need to do your research on as like thorough as you can on what it's going to entail to own that dog. Like whenever I see people with like big strong working breeds, shepherds, especially like any kind of shepherd, German shepherds, Australian shepherds, even border collies, kelpies, like all those working breeds, when I see people with them as puppies, I'm kind of like, hope you've done your research on them, because they're so smart and they require so much mental stimulation, and people think they can just take them for a 20k bike ride and they're going to be stimulated. They'll be tired, but they're not stimulated. Their brains still require stimulation. So I think just if people just did their research, and then they wouldn't end up with so many dogs in the pound. Like when I go, I have followed all the rescue pages. When I look at them, it's just all these poor kelpies and working dog crosses, and they're great pets, like don't get me wrong, but I think if you do your research and get them from pet lines instead of working lines, you're going to have a much more balanced, happy pet.
Yeah.
Because it's not thinking it has to work all the time. And there are breeders out there that are breeding to have like dogs as pets. Yeah. Like one of my best mates got this border collie from a pet breeder. Like they haven't been working dogs for generations, and he's the best dog, most relaxed. Like he's acted like a 10-year-old dog since he was a puppy. He's not got that high energy craziness to him. Like Vita doesn't really either. She loves to chase a ball, but
I was really lucky. I got an opportunity. My dad rang me. He had a work colleague. I wasn't even really in the market to get a puppy. Like I wasn't yearning for another dog. And Dad's like, I've got an opportunity. Would you like a border collie puppy? And I'm like, oh, they're kind of crazy, aren't they? So I did heaps of research, and they were very popular on the Gold Coast. Like I feel like in Palm Beach, you've got golden retrievers and border collies
and oodles.
And oodles. Yeah.
And that's all you see. And I was like, oh, and I was living with a friend, and I was living with another friend, and so we had 3 people on 3 different schedules, and we all knew to do lots of stimulation with her. Like Felipe had her riding a skateboard, and Ben was always like doing other tricks with her, and I was doing this. So she got heaps of mental stimulation when she was little.
Yeah.
It wasn't just exercise.
Yeah.
And I swear, like compared to going through puppyhood with Lady, Vita was a breeze.
Yeah,
just
and
because...
that's like that's why they are such great pets. If you can get it more on the calm side because they're so loyal. And they're so smart, so they're so easy to toilet train.
Yeah.
They just want to be next to you, so that leash training is really easy. So stuff like that. But then once you go into these other bigger breeds, so like a German Shepherd, for instance,
sure.
Or like I saw someone with a Malinois. They are
Malinois.
The Belgian Malinois?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, the war dogs. Like the dogs bred
I think the S is like silent.
You really should look that up.
The war dogs. The machines.
Yeah,
they're incredible.
They're amazing, but like, why do you want that as a pet?
Well, it's not a pet, right?
Yeah. So when I see like puppies like that on the street, I'm like, yeah, and German Shepherds especially, like I've seen so many German Shepherds have to be rehomed because they're just too much for...
we were on the beach at Burleigh and we were walking, and this couple had this German Shepherd, absolutely beautiful dog, but you could tell it was really aggressive. There was no way this dog could be left off the lead at all, and it was just every dog that was walking past, it was just...
Yeah,
wanting
and that's
to have a go. And I just said to Mick, I said, if that dog gets off, our dog Lily is just going to be toast. She's going to be dinner because
Yeah.
it was really aggressive. And I thought, beautiful dog, but
And
you've
they
gotta
are
have the
like,
right.
and they are beautiful dogs, but you really need to know what you're getting into with those
Yeah.
big working breeds, because they are one, like, you know, Chihuahuas, probably the same amount of aggression in there, but their jaw's not going to break your arm in half, you know.
Exactly.
So they're like aggressive little dogs
Chihuahuas
sometimes.
are aggressive. I've been chased by a flock of I don't know what else do you call it. Like it was
But the danger of
like-
that bite power is not there.
Yeah,
so
no,
like
that's right.
I have Chihuahuas that I groom and they like try and eat me, and I'm like I just kind of ignore them because like the damage that they can do is so like minor. But yeah, it's just once you get those big working breeds, you've really got to know what you're doing. And
Well, then you
usually
need
the-
money for training too.
It's a lot of
Lady, you're not a working breed, okay? You're not. You're a 13-year-old Labrador. Sit down.
Yeah, and if you've never had a dog like that before, you need to be trained by a dog trainer on how to control that dog.
Yeah.
And usually when you see those big dogs on a leash being aggressive, they're not actually aggressive, they're frustrated because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing in that moment. And so it's hard knowing dogs and seeing dogs out in public reacting like that, and knowing that they're like reacting from a place of fear or anxiety or frustration, and the owner has no clue what the dog needs.
Yeah, so it's more a lack of understanding from the owner, right, than anything else.
Yeah, and so I just think that like puppy school's great if you don't know what you're doing, but I think going that next step and doing that training when that dog's like 6 to 18 months, that's when you can really cement in that training and have then a dog that you can trust off a lead, you can trust to be around other dogs and things like that. I think that part's really important for people to put the work in, know what they're getting themselves into.
Well, like an oodle, like I've always said the next dog I want to have is an oodle because I don't want the hair anymore. Like, but listening, going, am I really going to brush a dog every second day?
So
and like for how long?
I don't, but then I get Lily groomed more often. But then when she was like you were saying about the matted, like I didn't realise when we first had Lolly and she got out of that puppy coat, you weren't her groomer back then. She's 13. They left her ears really long, and she's got like Labrador size ears.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the real floppy ones, but they did it so for the look. I didn't ask for it, and it got matted, and we had to get it all shaved off. And I didn't realise that I had to brush it that frequently. And I just keep it short anyway in summer. We let it go long in winter, but then you're there.
Yeah, but you have her booked in on like that. I think it's monthly rotation.
Yeah, and I do have a brush that I brush it.
But yeah, if you're getting your oodle groomed anywhere from like 2 to 4 weeks, I can kind of manage that.
For sure. Yeah.
So I have a lot of oodles that I do weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and it's just because people don't have time to do that themselves.
Yeah.
And that's fine, like if you can afford that. But a lot of people buy these dogs and then don't realize the amount of time and effort it takes to keep their coat looking, they might see one down the beach and it's that big beautiful coat, teddy bear, and maybe that person's retired and then they spend all day brushing that dog. Or I've got like one client that's a hairdresser, so she just does it amazingly. She does a great job of looking after a dog's coat.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, it is a lot of time and effort. Like that's why I have a short-haired dog.
Yeah.
I don't want to, when I get home from work, be grooming another dog.
Your dog,
you know? So that's why I've opted for a short-haired dog, because I don't have the time or energy when I get home from work to put into that.
So before Crumpet, you've got Crumpet. How old's Crumpet now?
Crumpet,
We'll have to get you to send us a photo so we can put a photo of Crumpet.
Well, I got her and started my business at the same time, so about 4 years.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, she was like 8 months when I got her, so she'd be coming up to 5, I think, at the end of the year.
Is she your first like adult dog, or have you had?
No, we had a Staffy growing up, and she was a terror. Staffies, I love them, but they're crazy. You either get a beautiful, calm one or a crazy one. She was a bit of a crazy one. But so we had her from when I was 5 till 20.
Nice.
Yeah. So all I wanted was a puppy.
Yep.
Can we get a dog? Can we get a dog every birthday? But yeah, so we had her growing up, and Dad had always had dogs, so he put a lot of work into her and training, and had us like in the yard doing it with her as well. So that's where I kind of started learning. I've always loved dogs though.
Yeah.
And then when I started grooming and stopped working at the racetrack, I rescued a 10-year-old Samoyed.
Oh, there's a groom. That's leans a lot of groom. That's a white fluffy one,
The
right?
big, big, huge white fluffy.
Yep.
They're crazy. But she had been a bit like neglected with her coat, and she was 10, so she struggled with the heat. So I would clip her coat like in a quite short.
Yep.
And just keep her in a nice. I'd groom her every like 3 weeks.
Yeah. There's a few of them in the Palm Beach actually.
Yeah, there is. And honestly, I don't know why anyone would pick that as their dog when you're living on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
You take them to the beach, you're going to have sand through your house.
Yeah.
There's white hair on everything.
Yeah.
They're like a lot of work. To groom them takes me about 3 hours just to bath and blow dry them and give them a brush out. It's a lot. Like they're a lot of work. But she was 10. She was the sweetest dog. Her coat was horrific. Like she didn't have that full big coat anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So I had her for 4 years, and then she passed away. But it was okay because I gave her a good end of her life.
Yep.
And then I went traveling, so I didn't have a dog for a while. And then, when I settled back down here, I was like, well, I'm starting a business. I'm getting a dog. If I'm tied down with a business, I can be tied down with a dog.
Yeah, nice.
So I just got Crump from a rescue.
Nice.
So what sort of dog is Crumpet?
Oh, God knows. I reckon she is a short-haired border collie cattle mix with a bit of Staffy thrown in there.
Yeah,
She's
wow.
a pizza.
Yeah,
that's
she's
cute.
a full-blown mutt. Pound puppy. But yeah, it's funny. I see other puppies on the rescue that look very similar to her. Like it's just this, I guess, it's this breed that
For sure.
just comes up a lot.
Yep.
Because you've got a bit of that working dog and a bit of that stuffy dog, and they're always the ones that end up in the pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was a very difficult dog when I got her. She had no training, nothing. She was very naughty. It took me years to get her to settle into be a good dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes time, right? You just...
It's work, honestly. If you've got a problem dog or a dog with a problem, it is so much work.
But it's the one thing. It's like kids. It's like everything in life. You get what you put into it.
Yeah.
Like, you really do. Your dogs turn out if you put the work in, if you know what you're doing, or if you get help.
Yeah, getting help is the number one thing, I reckon. Before, like, I have people that have called me, and they're like, been recommended to me by someone's recommended me to them, and it's like, I've got this problem dog, it needs to be drugged to be groomed, it's really naughty, it bites the groomers, all this and that, and I rarely say no to those dogs, and it's annoying because it takes so much longer, and it's like, but
well, you've been bitten.
Yeah, I've been bitten before for sure. It's a part of the job, but I've rehabbed so many dogs to withstand grooming. They don't ever enjoy it if they've had that bad experience, but retraining them to withstand. But it's just like, I had one dog who was a puppy and he just hated it. He would choke himself when the dryer was on. I'm actually grooming him today, and he's a huge Groodle, so quite hard to handle because he's so big. He's probably about that much bigger than Molly. He's huge. And I just said to his dad, I was like, he hates this, and we need to desensitize him to it. I was doing him maybe every 8 weeks. So now we do him every 2 weeks religiously. Yep. And he puts up with it, just to the point where I can get him done.
Yeah, okay.
But it was that exposure therapy and putting that work in, and he had to put the money in as well for me to retrain his dog and get him to the point where he can stand to be groomed.
Yep.
I think it's better too that he's on his own in 100%. A space that's, just him, so it feels better. Whereas if you're in, there's nothing wrong with the big salons for some dogs. They love those
extroverted dogs.
Yeah, they love that. But then my dog hated it because she got bitten, and so ever since then, she had a hole torn in her chest. She gets nervous around other dogs, and you can't blame her. So for her, it was hell going to something like that. So,
Same for if I sent my dog there, she'd think she's back in the pound. She'd
freak
out.
She would too.
Yeah, so Yeah, I fully understand that, and it's just easier to work with those more difficult dogs when you're one-on-one, and you can start to build a understanding between each other that you can't act like that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the last time you groomed Molly, I took a little bit of video footage, which will probably pop in here. Not so much the sound, because the sound was terrible. The video footage is there. And you were saying too that she's gotten older, so she doesn't like the shaver on the bottom of her paws.
No, she hates the feet. So as the dogs get older and their joints get a bit sore, a bit more
Lady
arthritic,
hates her feet being touched.
They
You know
hate
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
And yet she'll lick them all day.
Yeah. And usually they hate their nails getting done once they get older.
Yeah.
So it's more because of the joints, do you think, than anything else?
Yeah. Yeah. And standing for that long, like a lot of old dogs won't stand for an hour. You know, in their house, they're just always going to be laying on the floor sleeping.
Yeah.
So then once they're in there, they have to stand for such a long time, they get tired quite quickly. So, yeah, it's just taking the time with each individual dog.
So Lucy, as you know, we started No More Hot Paws.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cause that's really dear to Alana and I's hearts. Living on the Gold Coast, it's hot. Like it's not even summer yet, and it's hot today.
It's hot.
We're sitting in the shade, you know. What do you do? Like, do you have any things that you implemented in your business so that dogs don't get too hot in the van, or?
Well, they get. So my bath has a heater in it. So in winter I use the heater, but only for 3 months. You know, because then it's just cold hose water, and that is cool. Like, I have 2 dryers. One is hotter than the other, so I usually swap them out and use the colder, more forceful one during summer. So it's not so hot, such hot air on them. But my van's really well insulated, so like I get sweaty.
Fan on the roof too,
I got a fan in there, and like I looked at the aircon, but there's too much hair in there floating around. I think it's just gonna ruin the whole unit. So yeah, it's and I'm usually grooming by the beach, so there's always usually a bit of a sea breeze.
And you leave both doors open.
I have the doors open, so there's cross breeze, but the other thing is they're only in there for an hour.
Yep.
So your dog's less, like they don't take me very long at all. So it's a small stint of time. If they were in there for 6 hours, I'd need aircon because it's going to be a long time that they're in there for. But I think a lot of dogs do get stressed in there and they're panting a lot. But as I said, it's just over pretty quickly for the whole ordeal. It doesn't last that long. So.
And with your dog walking business, because you were doing that for a while too, or still do that, do you have measures on really hot days? Like,
well, yeah, I've kind of passed that on to my employee Bambi, so she's running them now. But we are always just going to places where there's water. Yeah. And there's taps that they can drink from. Yeah. So most of the time we'll just take them to park where there's fresh water, so if they're crazy thirsty they can just drink that water. Yep. Dogs' guts are way stronger than ours.
For sure.
And then just going to the tap and just make sure that water's kept up. But it's I think just being close to water helps with that. So they can just jump in whenever they want, cool themselves down. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And they sleep during the hottest part of the day anyway.
Yeah, and then it's like they're in the aircon car and then they're home, and give them a wash so they're cool when they go back into their own yards as well.
Nice. That's good. Awesome. Okay. I think we're...
Thank you so much.
Thanks. I think there was lots of good information, so we're going to support your business, so we're going to make sure people know how to find you. What's the best way?
Instagram, if you want to just check it out, and then phone calls.
Awesome.
Everyone texts me, and I can't get back to text while I'm working. I can grooming. So phone calls are the best, unless you want to wait a day or 2 until I can get back to you text.
So you're not ignoring people, you just need to, you're concentrating on the dog.
You've got a good business, like you said, you've got a good clientele base.
And like if I'm blow drying a dog, like that's the thing, I don't want to then take a 20-minute phone call or even a 10-minute phone call and it's making the dog stand there and do nothing. While I'm on the phone. So it's a hard one because if I'm not blow drying, I'll answer the phone and just talk to people while I'm working. And that's fine. But then text and people like re-text me the text again. I'm like, I'm busy. I just don't have time to sit there and write back to you while I'm grooming dogs. So I try and get back like every second day or something. I'll sit and go through my messages, but yeah, I'm a little bit hard to contact. I'm not ignoring you. I'm busy.